G'day, Mercenary Thorrn here, and today I'm going to cover the weapon systems, otherwise known as how to blow your opponent into tiny little bits. I'll start with the HUD and point out all the information it has in regards to weapons. Then I'll move over to the commands. Then I'll talk about the different weapon types. Then I'll talk about the trainerships, the weapons they start with, and how to use them most effectively. And as always, this is pre-alpha. When I have a more up-to-date version, I'll link it here and down in the comments below. For this section to make sense, I need to quickly cover the three classes of weapons. Class 1 are in a fixed direction, in line with the ship and cannot be turned. Class 2 are mounted on gimbals, allowing varying degrees of aiming independent of the ship movement. And Class 3 weapons are for missiles. Now let's begin with the target reticles. The first we will cover is for Class 1 weapons. When you have a Class 1 weapon equipped, a blue hexagon will appear on your HUD. It is to assist with aiming, with the computer working out a firing solution and suggesting that in order to hit your current target you should place them inside the hexagon. Of course, this is just the computer's best guess and no guarantee. The Class 2 target reticle is marked by the blue circle on your HUD. Now depending on your flight control method, it may or may not be fixed to the center of your screen. If you can freely move it, just note that any weapons that can will try to aim where it is pointing. Now when you cross over a targeted enemy, the circle will turn green and you will see dotted lines running from the circle to where your weapons are currently aiming. If their ability to turn is not damaged, and they are not lacking power, they will quickly line up with the target. When the weapons are fixed on the target, the circle will turn into a green diamond. Just note you can fire before this, but all weapons may not be aiming correctly. Your computer is calculating the target's movements with your weapon's rate of travel, and adjusting so you will hit, so don't be surprised if your shots don't line up with your crosshair. Of course, this again is not a guarantee of a hit if the target changes speed or direction. With the greater the distance and the slower the projectile, the more chance of missing. And the Class 3 target reticle is activated when you attempt to fire a missile. A red circle will start to form around the target, quickly growing smaller as you gain lock and are ready to fire. Now look over to the left and make sure overview is selected with F1. You will see a listing of your weapons, and under each one is useful information. First, there are the damage state, shown by the D here, moving from grey, to yellow, to orange, and finally to red as the damage increases. Then the P displays the power available to the weapon and its mounting, again heading towards red as it starts to run out. The H shows the weapon heat, on the same scale from grey to red. I have yet to see A change, so it might not be implemented yet. Then for ballistic weapons you should see an ammo count, and for energy weapons a charge level. Last at the bottom, your Class 3 missiles are listed. To check the missile count you will need to select them. You can change your selection with the arrow keys and pressing enter. This is a handy command for macros. I use the following script as an example. Now select the weapons section with F2. Here you can change your weapon groups. To do this, again use the arrow keys to cycle to the weapon you want, select it with enter. Now select the weapon group you want and use enter to add or remove from that group. And I'm including countermeasures under weapons as an expendable, so quickly your flares remaining is here, and chaff remaining is here. Okay, now commands. As always, you can quickly check your key bindings in the menu if you are unsure for your chosen controller. Each fire group will fire the weapons as listed in the weapon groups we just set. On pressing the missile fire key for the first time, it will start to acquire a lock. The second time it will fire. Two things to note here. If you click too soon, it will remove the lock, and if you're in a cinematic mood, hold down the second press for a missile cam. You'll see countermeasures listed as Z to fire and X to change the countermeasure used, with flare the default. Now onto the weapons. First they are divided up by type, based on the classes mentioned before. Class 1 weapons are only for Class 1 mounts, though none of these exist right now, with even the Omnisky acting as a Class 2 weapon right now. Class 2 weapons can fit both on Class 1 and Class 2 mounts. Class 3 weapons are for the missiles. They are divided up again by their size, ranging from 1 at the smallest to 5 at the largest. Though so far only the Hornet's nose mounting limited me at all, with just the size 3 broadsword not fitting. The three types used so far are ballistic, energy, and missiles. For ballistic they have the advantage of very little energy use, but are meant to have limited ammo, though so far I've never run out. And in the case of the Gatling gun, if overheated, they are at risk of damaging themselves to the point of breaking. They are meant to be able to penetrate shields to a degree, but overall have less damage than energy weapons. Energy weapons of course have unlimited ammo, but draw varying amounts of power from your ship to recharge themselves, sometimes to the point of lowering your shields. When overheated, I've only ever noticed their rate of fire drop off with no damage done. And missiles, able to lock and fire under 1500 meters, taking about 2 seconds to get the lock. They then track the target and do large amounts of damage on a hit. I can't confirm this, but read that all current player missiles are heat-seeking, locking onto the heat signature of the target ship. Another kind will track the target's radar signature. All ships are currently limited to their default missile layout. Of course, with missiles come countermeasures. Flares are used to combat the heat-seeking missiles, and chaff to counter the radar-seeking. I have found both work fine in Vanduul Swarm, with the flares meant to be the only one used in multiplayer. Now, only the weapons on the current trainer ships are fully implemented, and working mostly as intended, so I'll just cover those. When you weapons show up, just keep in mind they all have different trade-offs of damage, fire rate, projectile speed, energy draw, size, cost, and so on. Also note that missiles seem to work equally well right now, so I'll just give the numbers each ship has. The Aurora has 2 M3A lasers, in a Class 2 mount and 4 missiles. The lasers do a respectable job, having OK range, damage, and fire rate. The main issue though is the long recharge. Make sure when you do fire, you have a large amount of energy to burn and don't miss, or you won't even get past the shields. The 300i has 4 missiles total, and a CF-007 Bulldog repeater on the Class 2 nose mount, and it works very similar to the M3A. But its best feature are the Omnisky 6 lasers, 1 on each wing, again on Class 2 mounts. They do massive damage and have long range. They of course have a lower fire rate and huge energy draw. The 300i's power plant is known to be oversized right now, so that's not an issue, however will likely be patched out soon. This is the weapon of choice to replace existing ones typically, but be aware it may be nerfed at some point. The Hornet has a large missile count of 8. It sports 2 Mantis GT220 Gatling guns on the wings in Class 2 mounts. They have a high rate of fire, good damage, but generally have to get up rather close. They also use little energy. Just be aware they are very prone to overheating and damaging themselves. Then there are 2 of the CF-007 Bulldog repeaters on the turret that currently acts like a Class 2 mount. Again, a very all-round laser, but on the Hornet it does drain your shield down a little bit, so just be careful when using them. Last, though currently empty, are the 2 Class 1 nose mounts in case you want some more firepower. Though right now they have no power, so you only can use ballistic weapons. Just a note, these are your trainer ships. If you want to change your loadout a little, you might be able to access some weapons off the ships that you already own. That's it for now. I'll make a new updated video as more information becomes available. For now, just hit the subscribe button, and good hunting.